No matter how big your heart is, I guarantee you'll change your tune the moment you become collateral damage in someone else's legal problems. I once tolerated a friend for a long time until he got my car with an unregistered firearm and proceeded to roll a blunt with weed. That was the wake up call I needed to discontinue spending time with that person. This wasn't the first time I dealt with those issues with him, but I finally cut the friendship off. I had too much to lose. Of all the reasons to end a friendship, this is the one you need to take the most seriously. If you spend enough time at the trap house, eventually you're going to do some drugs, as the old saying goes. If your friend decides to start doing hard drugs or abusing alcohol, you need to exit that situation yesterday. This is just like the legal issue, except now you're likely not even remotely on the same path in life. After a certain point in your development and improvement, you won't be interested in getting drunk every time you go out or smoking weed all day. This is why I don't fault anyone who stopped being my friend when I drank. I was out of control. Support is nice, and some would even argue that is what friends should do. I don't disagree. However, there needs to be a limit to the help you give. Otherwise, you ironically accomplish the opposite of your original goal. You begin to enable your friend's worst habits. Your never-ending patience is meant to help, but ironically enough, it does more harm than cutting them off ever would. You don't dish out tough love not because you love your friends too much to hurt them, but because you lack the toughness required to help a true friend in need. The next issue is huge, but it's often underlooked. Hate, jealousy, or downplaying of your goals is one that too many people tolerate because they don't have the heart to cut out the disease. Look around you at who doesn't smile when you win. If you call someone a friend and they aren't capable of celebrating your victories, you don't have a friend. You don't have a supporter. You don't even have a fan or a neutral passerby. You have a saboteur in waiting, a wolf in sheep's clothing, a weed disguised as a daisy. You get the idea. This is the friend who will smile to your face to keep up appearances, but they're always gossiping negatively about you. With friends like this, you won't need enemies. Now, you might have a hard time figuring out if you have this type of toxic friend, but here's an easy litmus test. Do you feel better or worse after you communicate with this person? A common trait of toxic people is that they ruin the self-esteem of anyone they deal with, even their friends. In my life, I've been friends with people who never had anything positive to contribute. I was either the subject of criticism or the butt of a joke, or I was continually and outrightly disrespected. But I stayed friends with these people out of convenience and familiarity. But it's not something that anyone should ever have to tolerate. Every toxic relationship you have is one more relationship taking up space from a positive friendship that you could have with someone else. You have to cut these people off because if you don't, their toxicity will either drag you down or force you to become just like them. People like this have either not accomplished much or they enjoy the company to their misery or your success threatens them. Either way, this will eventually lead to betrayal by active commission. Now, outside of these four instances, I don't believe there is any reason to cut off old friendships. Yes, people fall out of touch, friendships end and naturally fade out. Sure, one of the burdens of adulthood is that we end up living a life that makes spending time with true friends difficult. But these are the natural effects of life, not the causes of anyone's success or failure. If you doubt that, let me point something out. If you have perfectly normal friends who don't fit any of the four criteria above and you haven't achieved whatever lofty goals you have set, they aren't the problem. They aren't even in the equation. The problem is your weak will, mediocre commitment, and non-existent follow-through. It's easy for you to say that your friends who are likely living and doing their own thing without any type of influence or interference from you are the reason you aren't successful. If you do have friends that fit one of the four categories above, you have to decide how badly you want to change your life. These criteria are great for deciding if you should stay with friends, but how do you decide if someone is worth becoming friends with in the first place? Well, in this video here, I outline the major red flags that a guy is someone you need to stay away from. If a potential friend or love interest has any of these signs, stay clear of them. And you can trust me on this because I used to have many of these traits.